I'm honored to have the chance to discuss one of the worst human rights abuses really in our lifetimes. What China is doing is absolutely reprehensible. China might not even be around today, or at least would have had a completely different history if it wasn't for the Uyghurs' faithfulness in the 8th century. At a time when the Tang dynasty was on the verge of collapse, the Uyghurs proved themselves to be faithful and consistent allies. The Andalushan rebellion was raging against the Tang dynasty, threatening their very existence, and the Uyghurs helped the Tang retake Chang'an and Luoyang not once but twice, ultimately saving the dynasty in China as we know it. The real reason why they won't let the Uyghurs practice their Muslim faith is because communism is in and of itself a faith. It is a religion of the state. It is horrified of anyone worshiping Allah, Jesus, or any ideal outside of the state because that would amount to heresy. They want no freedom of religion, no freedom of speech, no freedom of thought. To allow religion is to allow moral authorities that might question communist principles. It's the power found in the moral principles in religions that they fear, the kind of power that Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. used to show that racist Jim Crow laws were wrong no matter how legal. The Origins of Political Order, or in the book, The Origins of Political Order, Francis Fukuyama talks about how it is religion that gave the West, the Middle East, and India rule of law throughout history and in the present day. And that is what the CCP hates. It hates any notion that there would be any limits on what the rulers can do. They view things like thou shalt not kill as a pesky impediment to justifying any means to support their end. So they're tearing down crosses from churches and putting CCTV cameras in them. They're putting Muslims in concentration camps and raping the women left behind, and they're organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners. While many of our allies and many of our own U.S. companies go parading around as buddy-buddy with China, we're watching a literal Orwellian 1984-like scenario play out. It's disgusting. It ought to make us sick. And I want to speak specifically today about the NBA. While they protest some things, they have a word for their view of China's paramount evil. Okay. Title-winning Warriors coach Steve Kerr had this to say about what he slanderously called a Muslim ban of Donald Trump, something even the Supreme Court would not call his prudent national security measure, which wasn't about religion at all, for crying out loud. Allies like Saudi Arabia, whose population is nearly 100% Muslim, were not in the travel restriction at all. Yet on goes the NBA, and Kerr calls that reprehensible while ignoring China's depravity. Where's his moral courage? His heart, when Chinese Muslims are actually being persecuted, 1 million placed in concentration camps and others raped? He says nothing. And this is not just him. He's one example of countless in the NBA who have something to say about our president, but because doing so makes money. And nothing to say about China. Why? Because doing so makes money. That's disgusting. When asked about Hong Kong protests, Kerr declined to comment. When asked about human rights abuses like this, he switched the topic to U.S. gun control. He and many others say they're not familiar, have not seen it, no right to speak, or need more research. Well, maybe if they used Google, they could find it in 2 minutes. But no, Kerr and countless others don't care about equality. They don't care about human rights. LeBron James is saying how he had a tough week because we dare get upset about their immoral silence on this issue. Well, I'm pretty sure the democracy protesters in Hong Kong and the Chinese Muslims had a heck of a lot worse week than he did. And to top it off, these coaches and players who say they know nothing about this have a training camp right in the middle of Xinjiang, where the concentration camps and human rights abuses are happening. A person's a person, no matter their religion, ethnicity, or nation. I just wish the NBA could recognize that. Mr. Issa, can you share with us more about what it does to your people for influential organizations like the NBA to turn a blind eye to what's going on?